I still remember how the paper felt between my fingers. Thin. Ordinary. The kind lawyers use for quick notes during court proceedings. But the 7 words scrawled across it in Harold's rushed handwriting changed everything. Don't go home, run. They're waiting there. My heart stuttered. The courtroom around me continued as normal. The judge reviewing documents, the clerk typing steadily, my daughter Janelle sitting 3 rows back, smiling encouragingly whenever I glanced her way. How could everything look so normal when my world was collapsing? I folded the note quickly, sliding it into my purse. Harold, my attorney of 15 years, wouldn't meet my eyes. His jaw clenched as he shuffled papers, pretending nothing had happened. Who was waiting at my home? And why would my own lawyer warn me to run? Ms. Davis. The judge's voice cut through my panic. Are you following the proceedings? Yes, Your Honor, I managed, though my mouth had gone dry. This was supposed to be a straightforward hearing about my late sister's property. Nothing dangerous. Nothing life-altering. Yet the weight of Harold's note pressed against me like a stone. When court adjourned at 4:30, I lingered, watching Janelle leave first. She waved, called that she'd call me tomorrow. Her nursing scrubs were visible under her coat. She'd come straight from her shift. Such a dedicated daughter. Always had been. At least that's what I thought. Harold, I hissed, catching his sleeve as he packed his briefcase. What's going on? He looked around, then whispered, Not here. Meet me at Riverside Cafe tomorrow, 8 a.m. Then louder, for anyone listening, Good job today, Lorraine. Get some rest. I'd worked as a paralegal before retiring. I knew enough about legal proceedings to recognize when something wasn't right. Harold's behavior sent warning bells clanging through my mind. But run? From my own home? The home I'd owned for 30 years? I sat in my car, key in the ignition, not turning it. Through the windshield, I watched Janelle's red sedan pull out of the parking lot. My daughter. My firstborn. The responsible one who called every Sunday without fail. Then I noticed something odd. She turned left toward my neighborhood, not right toward her own apartment. She'd told me she was working a double shift tonight. The first lie. I just didn't know it yet. Fear is a powerful motivator, but curiosity is stronger. I didn't run. Instead, I followed my daughter at a careful distance, staying 3 cars behind as she wound through familiar streets. Sure enough, she pulled into my driveway. But she didn't go inside. She sat there, phone to her ear, talking animatedly about something. Waiting. 10 minutes later, another car arrived. My son Tyrone's beat-up Honda. My children, meeting at my empty house while I was supposed to be in court. I parked a block away, heart hammering against my ribs. Through 58 years of life, I'd faced divorce, discrimination, financial hardship, but nothing had prepared me for this cold dread. These were my babies. The ones I'd nursed through fevers, helped with homework, supported through every failure and triumph. What were they doing in my home without me? I waited until they both left, nearly an hour later. Tyrone carried something to his car, a box I couldn't identify from my vantage point. Janelle locked my front door with her spare key. When they were gone, I approached my house like it belonged to a stranger. The key felt wrong in the lock, stiffer, as if someone had tampered with it. Inside, the silence hit me first. Then the smell, Tyrone's cologne lingered in the air. He always used too much. My living room looked normal at first glance. Everything in its place, my reading glasses on the side table, family photos arranged on the mantel, the Afghan my grandmother had crocheted draped over my favorite chair. But then I noticed the drawer of my writing desk slightly ajar. I always kept it firmly closed. With trembling fingers, I pulled it open. My papers, birth certificate, social security card, property deeds, bank statements had been disturbed. The careful system I maintained now in disarray. Someone had been searching through my most personal documents. I sank into my chair, Harold's warning ringing in my ears. Don't go home. Run. My phone buzzed with a text from Janelle. How was court? Want me to bring dinner over later? The same daughter who'd just been in my house, going through my papers. I typed back, no thanks, honey. Staying with my friend Patricia tonight. Court ran long, too tired to drive home. The lie came easily. Too easily perhaps. But instinct told me to keep my knowledge hidden. 3 dots appeared as she typed her response. Okay, Mom. Get some rest. Love you. Love. The word stung like alcohol on an open wound. I packed a small overnight bag, hands shaking so badly I dropped my toothbrush twice. Whatever was happening, I needed answers. And I needed to be somewhere my children couldn't find me tonight. As I slipped out the back door, my phone buzzed again. Tyrone this time. Hey Mama, lost my spare key to your place. Can I swing by tomorrow to get the extra one? Another lie. I'd seen him and Janelle let themselves in just hours ago. Something cold and terrible settled in my stomach as I backed out of my garage. The children I'd raised, the family I'd sacrificed everything for, they were plotting something. And according to Harold, whatever it was meant I shouldn't be home when they came looking for me. I checked into the Hampton Inn 5 miles away, using cash instead of my credit card. As I locked the hotel room door behind me, one question burned through my mind. What would make a mother need protection from her own children? The answer would tear my world apart. Would you stick around if your family was secretly plotting against you? Comment below. I read every response. And subscribe to hear what happened when I confronted my children with what I discovered. Their reaction shocked even the detectives who later got involved. Sleep didn't come easy that night. Every noise in the hotel hallway jolted me awake. A late-night arrival, an ice machine, someone's television through the wall. By morning, my eyes burned and my thoughts tumbled like clothes in a dryer. I met Harold at Riverside Cafe precisely at 8 a.m., choosing an outdoor table despite the chill. Fewer ears to overhear us there. Tell me everything, I demanded before he'd even settled into his seat. Why did you warn me not to go home? Harold's eyes darted around before landing back on me. His normally immaculate appearance looked strained, tie slightly crooked, dark circles under his eyes. Lorraine, I've been your attorney long enough to recognize when something's not right. 2 weeks ago, documents crossed my desk regarding your property, transfer paperwork. Transfer? I haven't transferred anything. Exactly. He pulled out a manila folder. Someone initiated paperwork to transfer your house deed. The signature. It looks like yours, but I knew you hadn't mentioned any plans to transfer your property. My coffee sat untouched, turning cold. Who's behind it? Harold hesitated. The beneficiary is a joint trust under both your children's names. The cafe around us continued its morning rhythm, baristas calling out orders, businesspeople typing on laptops, while my world tilted sideways. There must be a mistake, I whispered. There's more. Someone attempted to access your bank accounts and retirement funds. The bank flagged it because the requests came from different locations within hours. My hands began to shake. My children wouldn't. Lorraine, Harold cut me off, voice gentle but firm. Have your children asked for financial information recently? Access to your personal documents? Suggested you might need help managing your affairs. The questions hit like punches. Janelle had offered to organize my filing cabinet just last month. Tyrone had borrowed my bank statements for a loan application. Small moments, insignificant then, now glowing with warning signs. I need to talk to them, I said, standing abruptly. Harold grabbed my wrist. Be careful. Don't reveal what you know yet. Watch their reactions instead. I nodded, mind racing ahead to what I'd say, how I'd look into my children's eyes and search for truth. I invited them both to Sunday dinner, something we did monthly. As I prepared pot roast, their childhood favorite, I fought to keep my hands steady. The kitchen where I'd taught them both to cook now felt like a stranger's territory. Janelle arrived first, bringing flowers. Mom, you look tired. Not sleeping well. Her concern seemed genuine. Had I imagined everything? Was Harold mistaken? I'm fine, just busy with your aunt's estate matters. Her eyes flickered momentarily. About that, have you decided what you're doing with Aunt Beverly's money? That's quite an inheritance. My sister's estate wasn't settled yet. Janelle shouldn't have known figures. I hadn't told her. Still working through it, I said carefully, watching her face. Tyrone arrived late, smelling of cigarettes though he claimed he'd quit. He hugged me with one arm, distracted by his phone. Tyrone, everything okay? You seem preoccupied. Just work stress, Mama. Hey, did you talk to that financial advisor I recommended? The one who could help consolidate your accounts. I hadn't remembered him recommending anyone. Another lie. Not yet, I said, heart hammering. Why? Is there a rush? Brother and sister exchanged a quick glance, barely perceptible, but I caught it. No rush, Janelle jumped in. We just worry about you managing everything alone, especially with Aunt Beverly's estate now. I served dinner, watching them between bites. They'd always been close despite their differences. Janelle methodical and patient, Tyrone impulsive and charismatic. Now their unity took on new meaning. I've been thinking about my will, I said casually, setting down my fork. Making some changes. The reaction was immediate. Tyrone's shoulders tensed. Janelle's smile froze. Changes? Janelle asked, voice higher than normal. Like what? I'm considering leaving most of my assets to charity. After seeing what happened with Beverly's estate, family fighting over money, I want something simpler. A lie, but I needed to see their response. Tyrone's fork clattered against his plate. That's ridiculous, Mama. What about us? After everything we've done for you. The raw anger in his voice shocked me. Everything they'd done for me? I'd supported them their entire lives. What Tyrone means, Janelle interjected smoothly, giving her brother a warning look, is that family should come first. We'll always take care of you. Will you? I asked, looking directly at her. The way you took care of me by going through my desk when I wasn't home? The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? I saw you both at my house after court. What were you looking for, Janelle? Tyrone recovered first, face transforming into a mask of hurt. Mama, we were dropping off a surprise for you. A new filing cabinet. We wanted to set it up before you got home. A reasonable explanation. Except there was no new filing cabinet in my house. Then why lie about where you were going, Janelle? Why did Tyrone text asking for a key he clearly already had? The silence stretched between us, broken only by the ticking of my kitchen clock. Janelle's eyes filled with tears. Mom, you're getting confused. Maybe you should see Dr. Miller again. Your blood pressure medication sometimes causes. I'm not confused, I cut her off, fury rising. And I'm not taking blood pressure medication. Never have been. Another slip. Another lie. Tyrone stood abruptly. I can't do this right now. You're acting crazy, Mama. He grabbed his keys. Call me when you're thinking straight. Janelle hesitated, torn between following her brother and maintaining her caring daughter facade. "Mom, we love you. We just want what's best." She squeezed my hand. "You're under stress with Beverly's estate. Let me help you sort through the paperwork." The audacity nearly took my breath away. Even caught in lies, they were still trying to gain access to my documents. After they left, I sank into my chair, dinner half-eaten before me. The children I'd raised, now strangers wearing familiar faces. Monday morning, I marched into Harold's office without an appointment. "Show me everything," I demanded. He pulled out multiple files, property transfer paperwork, power of attorney documents, even medical evaluations I'd never undergone, claiming I had moderate cognitive decline. "This is my signature," I whispered, staring at the papers. "But I never signed these." Harold nodded grimly. "Someone's forged them. Quite skillfully." As I flipped through documents, a bank statement caught my eye, a withdrawal slip for $50,000 from my savings account. The date was tomorrow. They're not just stealing my house, I realized, cold dread washing over me. They're taking everything. "Lorraine, there's something else." Harold pulled out another document. "This is a petition for conservatorship, legal control over your affairs. It claims you're mentally incompetent." The room spun around me. Filed by whom? Janelle. As a medical professional, her assessment carries weight. My own daughter, planning to declare me incompetent, to take control of my life, my decisions, my freedom. When was this filed? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Harold's answer made my blood run cold. "This morning. The hearing is scheduled for next week. If approved, you'll lose control of everything you own, and they've already laid the groundwork to make sure it will be." The betrayal was complete. My children weren't just after my money or property. They wanted to erase me. Do you think I should confront them directly, or gather more evidence first? Comment below with what you'd do in my position. And subscribe to find out what happened when I discovered the shocking truth about that $50,000 withdrawal. It's much worse than simple theft. "We need to stop that withdrawal," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. Harold nodded. "I've already called the bank's fraud department. They've flagged your accounts, but we should go in person." Sleep abandoned me that night. I tossed in my hotel bed, memories flashing through my mind. Janelle's first steps, Tyrone's high school graduation, family Christmases that once seemed perfect. How had those sweet children transformed into strangers who would strip away my autonomy? Morning came with steely resolve. Harold met me at First Tennessee Bank at 9 a.m. sharp. The branch manager, Mrs. Wilkins, ushered us into her private office immediately. "Miss Davis, I'm disturbed by what we've found," she said, placing documents before me. "Someone attempted to transfer $50,000 from your savings to an offshore account yesterday." My stomach knotted. Yesterday? I thought the withdrawal was scheduled for today. They accelerated their timeline. Fortunately, our security protocols flagged it. The signature didn't quite match our records. She pushed a withdrawal slip toward me. The signature looked like mine, the same slant, the same loop in the D of Davis, but slightly off. A skilled forgery. "There's more," Mrs. Wilkins continued. 2 weeks ago, someone changed your account contact information. Your statements were being forwarded to a different address. The address was Janelle's. And this was presented at our Midtown branch. She handed me a medical document stating I suffered from early-onset dementia, with Janelle as my designated financial proxy. The staff member was suspicious and alerted our security team. Hot tears pricked my eyes. Not just theft, they were erasing my identity, my mind, my very self. "We've reversed all pending transactions," Mrs. Wilkins assured me. And we've added extra security to your accounts. No withdrawals without in-person verification and ID. As we left the bank, rage replaced my shock. Pure, clarifying anger burned through my grief. I'm confronting them, I told Harold. Today. He tried to dissuade me, but some things a mother must do herself. I drove to Memphis General Hospital during Janelle's lunch break. The nursing station directed me to the cafeteria, where I found my daughter eating salad with coworkers. Her smile faded when she saw my expression. Mom? What's wrong? She excused herself from her friends, leading me to a quiet corner. You look upset. The bank called me this morning, I said calmly, watching her face. Something about a $50,000 withdrawal attempt. Forged signature. Her composure cracked, just slightly, a twitch near her eye. That's terrible. Did they catch who did it? I think we both know. Janelle's nurturing demeanor fell away. She glanced around to ensure no one could hear. Mom, you don't understand. Tyrone needs that money for his business debt. He's in trouble with dangerous people. We were going to pay it back. By stealing from me? By claiming I have dementia? Her eyes widened. You know about that? I know everything, Janelle. The forged documents. The conservatorship petition. The medical evaluation I never had. Her face crumpled then, tears spilling. Not tears of remorse, tears of frustration. You never needed the money. You live in that house alone, while Tyrone might get killed over gambling debts. What kind of mother hoards security while her child suffers? The cruelty of her words stunned me. I've supported Tyrone through rehab, failed businesses, 3 divorces. I paid his rent last year. It's never enough, she hissed. Meanwhile, you sit on a gold mine with Aunt Beverly's estate coming. Tyrone deserves that money more than some charity. So you decided to steal my home? My freedom? Label me incompetent? Janelle's tears stopped abruptly. Her face hardened into something I didn't recognize. It was supposed to be simple. Sign over the house, split the accounts, everyone wins. You'd live with me, comfortable, cared for. But you've always been stubborn. Stubborn. My voice rose despite my efforts. For wanting control over my own life? You're 58, Mom. Your best years are behind you. Why not help us build our futures? The casual cruelty took my breath away. In Janelle's eyes, my life was already over. My only remaining purpose to fund her desires. We're done, I whispered, standing. Don't contact me again. Her expression shifted to alarm. Mom, wait. But I was already walking away from the daughter who'd decided my life had no value beyond what she could extract from it. Tyrone was harder to find. His phone went straight to voicemail. I drove to his apartment, where his roommate said he hadn't been home in days. Finally, I tracked him to Riverside Bar, hunched over whiskey at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. He spotted me approaching, resignation crossing his face. Janelle called. Said you're on the warpath. I slid onto the bar stool beside him. $50,000, Tyrone? Gambling debts again. He knocked back his drink, signaling for another. You wouldn't understand. Try me. You've always had everything figured out, haven't you? Perfect Lorraine Davis. Law degree. House paid off. Everyone's respect. His words slurred slightly. Meanwhile, I can't keep a job longer than 6 months. Can't make a relationship work. Can't stop losing money I don't have. So you decided to take mine. His laugh was hollow. Janelle's idea, actually. Miss Perfect suggested it. Mom's getting older, she said. She'll need our help soon anyway. We're just accelerating the timeline. By declaring me incompetent? Stealing everything I've worked for? Tyrone turned to me, eyes bloodshot. You don't even need it. That house has 4 bedrooms for 1 person. Your savings sit there while I'm drowning. I earned that money, Tyrone. Every dollar. And what about what Dad left me? The college fund that mysteriously disappeared. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Your father left nothing when he abandoned us. You know that. Liar. He slammed his glass down, drawing stares. I found the papers. He left insurance money for me and Janelle. You spent it on your precious law degree instead. The accusation was so absurd I could only stare. Your father had no life insurance. We were on food stamps when he left. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through school. More lies, he spat. You've always favored Janelle anyway. Her nursing degree, her perfect life. What about me? What's my share? The alcohol had loosened something dark and festering inside him, resentment built on fiction. Who told you about this non-existent insurance money, Tyrone? He looked away. Found the papers at your house. In your locked desk drawer. Papers I'd never seen, in a drawer that had been broken into. Someone had planted false evidence to turn my son against me. Tyrone, someone's manipulating you. Those documents are forgeries. Sure, Mom. Everything's fake except your version, right? He stood unsteadily. We're done here. As he stumbled toward the door, my heart shattered for the little boy who once brought me dandelions and promised to take care of me when I got old. That night, I checked into a different hotel, bone-weary and hollowed out. Around 11 p.m., my phone rang. Harold. Lorraine, are you home? His voice was tight with urgency. No, I'm at the Marriott downtown. Why? Thank God. He exhaled heavily. I received a concerning call from someone at the courthouse. Someone's accelerated the conservatorship hearing to tomorrow morning, claiming emergency circumstances. Tomorrow? That's impossible. They're using your confrontations with Janelle and Tyrone as evidence of erratic behavior and paranoia. Lorraine, they're moving fast. And there's something else. My office was broken into tonight. Your files were the only things taken. Cold fear washed over me. What do I do? Stay where you are. Don't tell anyone your location. I'll pick you up at 6 a.m. for the hearing. As we hung up, my phone pinged with a text from Janelle. Mom, please come home. We're worried sick. Tyrone isn't well. He needs you. We're all at your house waiting. A trap, transparent now that I understood their intentions. I turned off my phone, double-checked the hotel room lock, and pushed a chair against the door. Sleep seemed impossible with tomorrow's hearing looming. At 2:17 a.m., a harsh pounding on my door jolted me from restless sleep. Ms. Davis? Hotel security. There's been a fire alarm triggered. You need to evacuate immediately. Something in the voice raised my suspicions. I peered through the peephole. The man wore a hotel uniform, but his face was unfamiliar, and the hallway behind him showed no signs of emergency, no other guests evacuating. I'll call the front desk to confirm, I called through the door. The pounding grew more insistent. Ma'am, there's no time. Then I heard it, a second voice whispering, just get her to open the door. A voice I recognized all too well. Tyrone. If you think family can't betray you, you're wrong. They know exactly where to plant the knife. Comment below if you'd answer that door or not. And subscribe to find out what happened next, because what they did after I refused to open that door changed everything. I backed away from the door, heart pounding against my ribs. My son was trying to force his way into my hotel room in the middle of the night. "Ma'am, this is a safety emergency." The pounding grew more insistent. I grabbed my phone with trembling fingers and dialed the front desk. "Marriott front desk, how may I help you?" "This is room 412. Is there a fire alarm right now?" "No, ma'am. Everything's fine. Do you need—" I hung up and dialed 911. "I need police," I whispered. "Someone is trying to break into my hotel room, claiming to be security." The dispatcher kept me on the line while the pounding eventually ceased, followed by angry whispers and retreating footsteps. 5 minutes later, real security and police arrived, but Tyrone and his accomplice were gone. The responding officer reviewed hallway security footage with me. "Do you recognize this man?" he asked, pointing to Tyrone's distinctive profile. "That's my son," I admitted, shame burning my throat. The officer's expression softened with pity. "Ma'am, would you like to press charges?" I shook my head, unable to speak. "How do you explain that yesterday your children were family, and today they're criminals attempting to abduct you?" I didn't sleep again that night. At 5:30 a.m., I checked out and waited for Harold in the lobby, jumping at every shadow. The emergency conservatorship hearing was a blur. Harold brilliantly presented bank records proving I was mentally sound, managing complex financial transactions. The judge dismissed the petition, but warned that my children could refile with stronger evidence. As we left the courthouse, Harold's phone rang. "Lorraine," he said after answering, face grave. "There's been a fire at your house." The world tilted beneath my feet. "When?" "Last night. Fire department responded around 3 a.m. After the failed hotel confrontation. After I refused to open my door. We drove in silence to my neighborhood. From 2 blocks away, I could see police tape cordoning off my property. Where my beautiful brick home had stood for 30 years, only a charred skeleton remained, blackened beams reaching toward the sky like accusing fingers. Neighbors gathered on lawns, watching firefighters sift through smoking ruins. Mrs. Kelsey, who'd lived next door for 20 years, rushed over when she spotted me. "Lorraine, thank God you weren't home." She embraced me, smelling of coffee and concern. "We were terrified you were inside." The fire chief approached, notepad in hand. "Ms. Davis? I'm Chief Richardson. We've been trying to reach you." "I wasn't home," I said, voice hollow. "I was staying at a hotel." "That likely saved your life." The fire started around 2:45 a.m., when most people would be asleep. It moved extremely fast. I stared at the ruins of my life, photo albums reduced to ash, my grandmother's quilt, the kitchen table where my children had done homework. All gone. "Do you know what caused it?" The chief exchanged glances with a detective standing nearby. "We found evidence of accelerant on your back porch and in the living room. Ms. Davis, this was deliberately set." The detective stepped forward. "I'm Detective Grayson. We'd like to ask you some questions. Does anyone have a key to your home? Any recent threats or disputes?" I felt Harold's hand on my shoulder, steadying me. "My children have keys," I said quietly. "And yes, we've had disagreements recently. About money." Grayson's eyes narrowed. "Significant disagreements?" "They tried to have me declared incompetent yesterday. To take control of my finances." Understanding dawned in his expression. "And when that failed?" He didn't need to finish. When legal methods failed, they'd tried force. When force failed, they'd destroyed what they couldn't possess. The next blow came at the insurance office. The agent, Mr. Thornton, reviewed my file with furrowed brows. "Ms. Davis, there appears to be a discrepancy. Your policy was modified 3 weeks ago. Modified how? I made no changes. He turned his monitor so I could see. The coverage was increased by $200,000, and the beneficiary was changed from you to a joint designation, Janelle and Tyrone Davis. My legs nearly gave out. I never authorized this. The paperwork has your signature. He pulled up the document. And this authorized agent's signature. I stared at the agent's name, Harold Briggs. That's impossible, I whispered. Harold is my attorney, not my insurance agent. Mr. Thornton frowned. According to this, he presented power of attorney documentation. We'll need to investigate this immediately. Harold, standing beside me, paled visibly. Lorraine, I never did this. Someone forged my signature too. I wanted to believe him. But doubt crept in like smoke through cracks. We'll file a fraud report, Mr. Thornton assured me. In the meantime, we'll process your claim under the original policy terms. Cold comfort, with my home and possessions reduced to ash. That night, in yet another hotel room, I spread out the documents I'd salvaged, kept in a safe deposit box thankfully. Bank statements. Property deeds. Beverly's estate papers. Something wasn't adding up. Beverly's estate should have been straightforward. She owned her condo and had modest savings. Yet the probate process had grown increasingly complex. I reviewed Harold's billing statements, noticing frequent meetings with someone named J. Davis Janelle, and the document requesting conservatorship had been processed with unusual speed. The kind of speed that typically required connections inside the courthouse. A terrible suspicion formed in my mind. What if Harold wasn't just my advocate? What if his warning hadn't been to protect me, but to manipulate me? I pulled out the original note he'd slipped me in court, "Don't go home, run." Why that specific warning? How did he know someone would be waiting at my house? And why run, rather than call police? Unless he knew exactly what was planned. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Davis, this is Detective Grayson. We found something in your house ruins you need to see. Can you come to the station tomorrow at 9 a.m.? As I set down my phone, it buzzed again. Harold. Good news. Insurance company expediting your claim. Meeting tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. at my office to sign paperwork. 2 meetings. Same morning. One with a detective who'd found something important. One with an attorney I was beginning to doubt. I picked up the hotel phone and dialed. Detective Grayson? This is Lorraine Davis. About that evidence you found. His response made my blood freeze. Mrs. Davis? I didn't text you. I don't have your phone number. Someone was trying to lure me to a fake meeting. But who? My children? Or the man who'd been posing as my protector all along? The hotel room's shadows suddenly seemed deeper, hiding secrets I was only beginning to understand. Would you trust the attorney who'd been helping you, or go with your gut instinct that something's wrong? Drop a comment with what you'd do. And subscribe to hear the shocking truth I discovered about who was really orchestrating everything from the shadows. Trust disintegrates quickly when it's violated. But suspicion? That's a poison that spreads slowly, questioning everything until you're no longer sure what's real. I couldn't sleep that night. Not just from fear, but from doubt crawling through my mind like insects. Harold had been my attorney for 15 years. He'd handled my divorce, my house closing, my will. If I couldn't trust him, who remained? By morning, I'd made my decision. I wouldn't attend either meeting. Instead, I drove to the county records office the moment it opened. I need to see all recent filings under my name, I told the clerk, sliding my ID across the counter. Lorraine Davis. She returned with a thick folder. There's been quite a bit of activity lately. Indeed there had. Property transfers. Power of attorney filings. Conservatorship petitions. Insurance policy modifications. All with my forged signature. But what shocked me was the notary stamp on each document. Vivian Peters, Notary Public. Harold's secretary. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone and searched her name. There she was on the law firm's website, smiling professionally beside a familiar face. The same woman who had warmly greeted me for 15 years had notarized dozens of forged documents in my name. But I needed more proof. The records clerk helped me pull mortgage filings for my sister Beverly's condo. The documents showed a second mortgage taken out 3 months before her death, with proceeds of $175,000 going to a corporation called Briggs Holdings LLC. Harold's company. My sister, who'd trusted Harold with her estate planning, had been his victim too. No wonder her modest estate had become so complicated. He'd already siphoned off most of it. I drove straight to police headquarters, requesting Detective Grayson. He listened intently as I laid out my discoveries, occasionally taking notes. "Let me understand this," he said when I finished. "You believe your attorney orchestrated this entire scheme? That he's working with your children to steal your assets and Beverly's estate?" "The evidence suggests it. The timing of Harold's warning, the forgeries notarized by his secretary, the money trail from Beverly's property to his company." Grayson nodded slowly. "We'll investigate these connections. In the meantime, do you have somewhere safe to stay? Someone Mr. Briggs doesn't know about?" I thought of my college roommate Patricia, now living in Nashville. "Yes, I do." "Good. Go there. Don't tell anyone where you're staying, not even me. We'll contact you through this burner phone." He handed me a basic flip phone. "And Ms. Davis? Be careful. If your suspicions are correct, this man has already destroyed your home. He won't stop there." I had one more stop before leaving town. I couldn't flee without confronting the architect of my destruction. Harold's receptionist, not Vivian thankfully, looked surprised when I walked in without an appointment. "Miss Davis, Mr. Briggs is expecting you at 8:30. Is he in?" I kept my voice light, casual. "Yes, but he's preparing for your meeting." "Should I?" I walked past her, straight to his office door, and pushed it open without knocking. Harold sat at his desk with 2 people, Janelle and Vivian. All 3 heads snapped up at my entrance, faces registering shock. "Well," I said, closing the door behind me. "Isn't this cozy?" Janelle recovered first. "Mom. Thank God you're okay. We've been so worried." "Save it." I remained standing, blocking the exit. "I know everything. The forgeries. The false notarizations. Beverly's stolen equity." Harold's face transformed before my eyes, the concerned advisor melting away to reveal something cold and calculating. "Lorraine, you're obviously distraught. Your home burned down. You're not thinking clearly." "Actually, I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months. Tell me, Harold, was any of it real? The warnings? The concern? Or was it all manipulation?" His smile thinned. "Sit down, Lorraine. Answer me." Janelle stood, approaching with hands outstretched. "Mom, please. Harold's been helping us protect you. Your memory has been slipping. You've been making dangerous financial decisions." "Like what? Name one." She faltered, looking to Harold for help. He sighed heavily, setting down his pen. "This is pointless. Vivian, call security." "I've already called someone," I said quietly. "Detective Grayson is very interested in your operation, especially how it connects to my house fire." Alarm flickered across Harold's face. You have no proof of anything. Don't I? County records show Beverly's equity transfer to your LLC. Your secretary notarized forgeries of my signature. My insurance policy mysteriously changed to benefit my children with you as the authorized agent. Vivian stood abruptly. I should check on something. She hurried toward the door. Sit down, Vivian, I commanded, channeling every ounce of courtroom authority from my paralegal days. You'll want to hear this too. To my surprise, she complied, sinking back into her chair. Harold's demeanor changed, hardening into something ugly. You know what your problem is, Lorraine? You don't know when to step aside. Step aside from my own life? From assets you no longer need. His voice turned condescending, as if explaining to a child. Look at you, 58, living alone in a 4-bedroom house, sitting on savings and property while your children struggle. Beverly's estate should go to the next generation, not waste away while you live another 20-30 years. The casual cruelty of his assessment stunned me. So my life is just a waiting period? My only value is in what I leave behind. Be practical. Your productive years are behind you. Your children have futures to build, families to support. Meanwhile, you're clutching resources you'll never fully use. Janelle nodded along, as if his warped logic made perfect sense. So you decided to accelerate the timeline, I said, the pieces clicking into horrible clarity. Steal my assets. Declare me incompetent. And when that failed, burn my house down for insurance money. No one was supposed to get hurt, Janelle interjected quickly. We knew you weren't home. Because Harold warned me to run. Just enough truth to manipulate me, while keeping me disoriented and dependent. Harold leaned back, dropping all pretense of concern. It would have been cleaner if you'd just signed the transfers. We tried for months, suggesting downsizing, offering to help with paperwork. But you were stubborn. Stubborn, I repeated, the same word Janelle had used. For wanting control over my own life. Your life, Harold said dismissively, is effectively over. Why not make way gracefully for those with real futures ahead? The brutal assessment hung in the air between us. In their eyes, I was already a ghost, a resource to be harvested, not a person with dreams, dignity, or rights. You miscalculated, I said softly. I'm not done living. Not even close. Harold smirked. And what exactly do you think you can do? You have no home. No documents, they burned in the fire. Your word against ours. Who do you think people will believe? A respected attorney and a nurse, or an aging woman making wild accusations after a traumatic house fire? He was right about one thing. My position was precarious. But he'd forgotten what I'd learned through 58 years of fighting systems designed to dismiss me. Always have a backup plan. You're right about the documents burning, I said, reaching into my purse. Except for these copies I kept in a safe deposit box. I pulled out a folder of duplicated deeds and account statements. And this recording of our conversation today. I placed my phone on his desk, the voice memo app clearly running. The blood drained from Harold's face. Janelle lunged for my phone. I snatched it back, backing toward the door. Mom, please, she begged. We can work this out. As a family. We're not family anymore, I told her, heartbreaking all over again. You chose your side. As I turned to leave, Harold called after me, voice ugly with threat. You think this recording changes anything? I have connections throughout this city. Judges. Police. You'll never win against me, Lorraine. I paused at the door, looking back at the man who'd orchestrated my destruction. We'll see about that. Patricia welcomed me to Nashville with open arms and no questions. Her guest room became my war room, laptop, files, and determination my only weapons. I knew Harold wasn't bluffing about his connections. A direct approach would fail. I needed a strategy that would bypass his influence entirely. So I created one. First, I contacted the State Bar Association, filing a detailed ethics complaint against Harold with supporting evidence. Next, I reached the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Harold's scheme crossed state lines when he moved Beverly's money, making it federal jurisdiction, beyond his local connections. But my masterstroke came from an unexpected place: social media. "You're going to do what?" Patricia asked when I explained my plan. "Live stream the whole story. With evidence. On TikTok." She looked dubious. "Can they still silence you if everyone knows?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. "That's exactly what we're going to find out." 3 days later, I sat before Patricia's ring light, documentation spread around me, rehearsed but determined. The count reached 0. The red light blinked on. I took a deep breath and looked directly into the camera. "My name is Lorraine Davis. 3 weeks ago, my attorney slipped me a note saying don't go home, run." What happened next exposed a conspiracy I'm still fighting, orchestrated by my own children and the man I trusted with my legal affairs. This is my story, with evidence, names, and the truth they don't want you to hear. What I didn't expect was how quickly the video would spread, or that someone from Harold's inner circle was watching, ready to become the whistleblower who would change everything. Do you think going public with family betrayal is the right move, or should some secret stay buried? Comment below. And subscribe to hear how my live stream reached someone who had the final piece of evidence that brought down Harold's entire operation. The video hit 50,000 views within hours. By morning, it passed 1 million. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications, messages, and news inquiries. I'd gone viral at 58, for the worst possible reason. "Ms. Davis, I'm Angela Wright from Channel 5 News. Would you be willing to share your story on our evening broadcast?" "Lorraine, this is similar to what happened to my mother. Can I ask how you discovered the forgeries? Are you the lady from TikTok? My grandmother needs your help." I responded selectively, focusing on those who offered assistance rather than just curiosity. But one message stood out from the flood. "Ms. Davis, I'm Kimberly Peters, Vivian's daughter. My mother worked for Harold Briggs for 22 years. She has documents you need to see. Please call this number." Vivian, Harold's secretary who had notarized the forged documents. Could this be a trap? Patricia urged caution. They could be trying to locate you. She was right, but something in the message felt genuine. I called using the burner phone Detective Grayson had given me. Kimberly answered immediately. "Thank God you called. My mother is terrified. She's been keeping records of everything for years." "Records of what exactly?" "All of it. The elderly clients Harold has stolen from. The forged documents. The judges he's paid off. She has a safety deposit box with evidence going back a decade." My hand trembled around the phone. "Why now? Why help me?" "Your video. Mom showed it to me crying. Said she couldn't live with herself anymore. She's willing to testify if you can guarantee her immunity." I contacted Grayson immediately. Within hours, he'd arranged for federal agents to take Vivian's statement and secure her evidence. Far from Harold's sphere of influence. What she revealed was staggering. Harold hadn't just targeted me. He'd been running a sophisticated elder fraud operation for years, identifying older clients with substantial assets, manipulating them into transferring wealth, and sometimes, as in my case, working with family members eager to accelerate their inheritance. The evidence was damning: client lists, copies of forged documents, recorded conversations, even a ledger of payments to officials who looked the other way. My case was just one of dozens. This goes beyond local jurisdiction, Grayson told me. The FBI is taking over. 3 days later, I watched from Patricia's living room as news broke across every channel. Prominent Memphis attorney Harold Briggs arrested on multiple federal charges including fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy. 15 individuals taken into custody in connection with a massive elder fraud scheme. Sources say the investigation began when one victim went public with her story in a viral video. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt hollow as I recognized familiar faces in the perp walk footage. Harold in handcuffs, Vivian escorted by agents, and finally, the images that broke my heart, Janelle and Tyrone, heads bowed, being led into federal court. My children. In custody. Because of evidence I had provided. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. You had no choice, Lorraine. But choices were exactly what haunted me. Every mother faces moments when love and justice collide, when protecting your child conflicts with doing what's right. I'd chosen justice. And despite knowing it was necessary, the cost felt unbearable. The federal prosecutor, Ms. Hadley, didn't mince words when we met. We have a strong case against Briggs. Multiple victims, documented fraud patterns, witness testimony. Your children, however. She paused, studying my face. Ms. Davis, would you be willing to testify against your son and daughter? The question I'd been dreading. Could I stand in court, raise my right hand, and speak words that would send my own children to prison? What if I don't? I asked quietly. Without your testimony, the charges against them would likely be reduced. Still serious, but less prison time. Less time, but still prison. The thought of Janelle in a cell, of Tyrone behind bars, it physically hurt. These were the babies I had nursed, the children I had raised alone after their father abandoned us. Can I think about it? Ms. Hadley nodded. Take the weekend. But remember, they were willing to destroy you completely. Those words followed me back to Patricia's house, echoing as I lay awake that night. They were willing to destroy you completely. Why? The question tormented me. What transforms a child's love into such callous greed? Had I failed them somehow? Taught them the wrong values? Or was Harold's influence to blame? By morning, I'd made my decision. I requested a meeting, not with the prosecutor, but with my children. The detention center's visiting room was stark and impersonal. Janelle entered first, jail scrubs replacing her usual crisp nursing uniform. Her eyes were red-rimmed, missing their usual confidence. Tyrone came next, shoulders hunched, refusing to meet my gaze. You have 15 minutes, the guard announced before stepping back. Silence stretched between us, heavy with accusation, regret, and unspoken pain. Why? I finally asked. One word carrying the weight of every betrayed mother's heart. Janelle's composure cracked. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Harold said it was just about redistributing assets that weren't being used efficiently. Redistributing my home? My freedom? My dignity? He made it sound reasonable, Tyrone muttered. Said you'd be taken care of. Comfortable. While you took everything I worked for. We were drowning, Mom, Janelle's voice broke. Tyrone's debt, my mortgage underwater after the divorce. Harold offered a solution. A solution that required declaring me incompetent, burning down my home. Tyrone's head snapped up. I never agreed to the fire. That was Harold's idea after the conservatorship failed. I swear, Mama, I didn't know until it happened. I studied his face, searching for truth. This was my son, the boy who had once cried when he accidentally killed a butterfly. Could he have changed so completely? Harold told us you'd never know, Janelle whispered. That you'd believe it was an electrical fire, collect insurance, and move in with me. Everyone would win. Except I would lose everything that makes me me. My independence, my home, my dignity. We see that now, she admitted, tears streaming. Too late. I took a deep breath. The prosecutor wants me to testify against you both. Fear flashed across their faces. Will you? Tyrone asked hoarsely. The question hung between us, a test of maternal love versus justice. The old Lorraine might have sacrificed herself to protect them, no matter what they'd done. But that Lorraine died the night her house burned down. I don't know yet, I answered truthfully. I need to understand everything first. How it started. What Harold promised. Every detail. For the next 10 minutes, they talked, haltingly at first, then in a rush. How Harold had approached Janelle after noticing her financial struggles during a chance encounter. How he'd painted me as a selfish hoarder of wealth while my children suffered. The gradual escalation from helping me manage assets to outright theft. The conservatorship plan when I proved uncooperative. Some of it rang true. Some felt like minimization. But one thing became clear. Harold had masterfully exploited their financial desperation and resentments I never knew existed. As our time ended, Janelle reached for my hand. We'll accept whatever you decide, Mom. We deserve it. The guard approached. Time's up. I stood, suddenly overwhelmed by conflicting emotions. Rage at their betrayal, grief for our broken family, and a tiny, persistent flicker of maternal love that refused to die completely. One last question, I said as they rose to leave. If everything had gone according to plan, if I'd been declared incompetent, moved into your home, while you controlled all my assets, would you have eventually regretted it? Or would you have convinced yourselves it was for the best? Their silence was answer enough. That evening, I called Miss Hadley with my decision. I'll testify, I told her. But I have conditions. We don't typically negotiate with witnesses, Ms. Davis. These aren't negotiations. They're my terms for helping you bring down not just Harold Briggs, but the entire network of corruption he built, including the judges and officials in his pocket. There was a long pause before she responded, I'm listening. As I outlined my conditions, I felt a strange sense of power returning. Not the false power of revenge, but the true strength that comes from setting boundaries even when it breaks your heart. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for Monday morning. I spent Sunday preparing to face not just my children and Harold, but the public scrutiny that would follow. My viral video had made this case national news. That night, as I organized my documentation one final time, my burner phone rang, an unknown number. Ms. Davis. The voice was young, female, vaguely familiar. This is Rita, Harold's junior associate. They're planning something for tomorrow. Something to make sure you never testify. My blood ran cold. How did you get this number? There's no time to explain. Just know they haven't given up. And they're more desperate now than ever. The line went dead, leaving me with the terrifying knowledge that tomorrow's courtroom wouldn't just determine justice. It might determine whether I survived at all. Would you face your enemies in court knowing they might still try to harm you, or go into hiding until they're safely locked away? Comment your thoughts below. And subscribe to hear the shocking revelation that came out during my testimony. Evidence so damning that even the judge gasped when it was presented. Rita's warning kept me awake all night. By dawn, I'd made my decision. I would face whatever awaited me in that courtroom. Not from bravery, but from the bone-deep certainty that running would never end. Federal marshals escorted me into the courthouse through a private entrance. The main steps were crowded with reporters and curious onlookers. My story had struck a chord that resonated beyond Memphis. "We've implemented additional security measures," Marshal Daniels assured me. "Every person entering the courtroom will be thoroughly screened." I nodded, gripping my worn leather purse containing the evidence I'd saved from the fire. The weight of those papers felt like carrying stones. The courtroom was larger than I expected, already filling with spectators and press. Harold sat at the defense table with his attorneys, his usual polished appearance now haggard. Across the room, Janelle and Tyrone were seated with their court-appointed lawyers, both avoiding my gaze. Miss Hadley approached, immaculate in a navy suit. "Ready, Miss Davis?" "As I'll ever be." The proceedings began with formal charges: mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, arson, attempted kidnapping. The list continued, each count hammering home the magnitude of what they'd done. When my turn to testify came, I approached the witness stand with measured steps. My hand trembled slightly as I placed it on the Bible to be sworn in. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Miss Hadley guided me through my testimony methodically. The initial warning note, the discovery of document forgeries, the fraudulent bank withdrawals, the arson, the hotel confrontation. "And what evidence do you have that the defendants were involved in these activities?" I produced my documentation: bank records, property filings, insurance policies, all with forged signatures. Then came the recordings. My confrontation with Harold and my children, capturing their admissions in their own voices. Harold's attorney objected repeatedly, but Judge Watkins overruled him each time. The evidence was too compelling, too thorough. The final blow came when Miss Hadley called her surprise witness, Rita, Harold's junior associate. The young woman who'd warned me. Rita testified how Harold had maintained 2 sets of client files, official ones for legitimate work, and shadow files for wealth redistribution clients, elderly people with significant assets and minimal family protection. She detailed how he'd manipulated my children, preying on their financial troubles to turn them against me. "And was Miss Davis the only victim?" Miss Hadley asked. "No," Rita replied. "There were at least 17 others over the past decade. 3 died shortly after their assets were transferred." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. "Died how?" Judge Watkins leaned forward. "Natural causes, supposedly. But they all occurred after they began questioning missing funds." The implication hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just fraud. It might be murder. As Rita stepped down, I caught Harold's expression, cold, calculating, utterly without remorse. Any lingering doubt about my decision vanished. The preliminary hearing concluded with all defendants held without bail, the evidence of flight risk and witness tampering too strong to ignore. As I left the courthouse, a reporter called out, "Miss Davis, how does it feel to see your own children heading to prison?" I paused, the question piercing me anew. "There are no winners here," I answered finally. "Only survivors." 6 months passed. The federal case expanded beyond Memphis as investigators followed Harold's network across state lines. In the end, 23 people were indicted: attorneys, judges, medical professionals who had provided false competency evaluations, and family members who had conspired against their elders. Harold received 30 years without parole. He would die in prison. My children faced their own reckonings. Janelle accepted a plea deal, 10 years in exchange for testimony against others in the scheme. Tyrone received 7 years after evidence confirmed he had opposed the arson plan. The sentences were just, necessary, and still, they broke my heart. I attended their sentencings, sitting silently in the back row. Neither saw me there. I'm not sure if I came for them or for myself, perhaps to witness the final chapter of our family story. As the bailiff led Janelle away, she glanced back, somehow finding me in the crowd. Our eyes locked for a moment. No words, just recognition of all that had been lost. That night, I cried for hours, not just for my children, but for the mother I had been. The one who believed family meant safety. The one who died the night her house burned down. Rebuilding came slowly. The insurance settlement allowed me to purchase a small condo in East Memphis. Nothing like my former home, but mine nonetheless. I furnished it simply, finding I no longer needed the trappings of my previous life. My sister Beverly's estate was finally settled properly, the stolen funds partially recovered. I established a scholarship in her name at the community college where she had taught nursing, a way to honor her legacy beyond material possessions. The hardest adjustment was building a life without my children at its center. For decades, every decision, every holiday, every milestone had revolved around Janelle and Tyrone. Their absence left a void I couldn't fill with furniture or hobbies. Surprisingly, it was my viral video that offered a new direction. Emails flooded in from elderly victims of similar schemes, people who had lost homes, savings, dignity to family members or professionals they trusted. "Your story gave me courage," wrote a 72-year-old widow from Arizona. "I finally reported my nephew who's been stealing from me." "I thought I was alone," messaged a retired teacher from Florida. "Thank you for showing me I'm not." These connections formed the foundation of a new purpose. Working with a victims' rights attorney, I established a support network for elder fraud survivors. We named it The Note, after Harold's warning that ironically set me free. Within a year, our organization had helped dozens of seniors recover assets and prosecute those who had exploited them. I discovered an unexpected gift for public speaking, traveling to senior centers nationwide to teach protection strategies. "The biggest mistake we make," I would tell audiences, "is believing age diminishes our right to control our own lives. It doesn't. Ever." On a crisp fall morning 3 years after the fire, I received a letter from Tyrone. His handwriting, once hurried and sloppy, had grown measured and precise. "Dear Mom," he began, "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know I think about you every day, and about the pain I caused. The man I was then isn't who I want to be." I read it 12 times, emotions cycling through me, anger, grief, cautious hope. I couldn't yet write back. But I kept the letter. 2 months later came a card from Janelle for my birthday. No excuses, no pleas. Just a simple acknowledgement: "You deserved better than what we did. I'm sorry." Small gestures. Potentially meaningless. Yet they settled something restless inside me. Would I ever trust them again? No. Some broken things can't be repaired. But perhaps someday, we might build something new from the ruins. Not the blind trust of before, but a cautious connection grounded in hard truth and earned respect. The Memphis sun filters through my office window as I finish recording this story. My desk is crowded with speaking invitations, case files, thank you notes from those we've helped. At 62, I'm not the woman I was at 58. I'm stronger in the broken places, wiser about human nature, fiercely protective of my boundaries. The betrayal that was meant to destroy me instead transformed me. Not because pain is inherently redemptive, it isn't. But because I chose to use it as fuel rather than let it consume me. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: trust must be earned continuously, not given blindly, even to family. Your life has value at every age. Never let anyone convince you otherwise. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. As for Harold's note that started everything, "Don't go home, run," I've reframed its meaning. Sometimes running isn't about escape. Sometimes it's about moving forward with such purpose and strength that those who try to break you can never catch up. They tried to write my ending. Instead, I wrote a new beginning. What about you? Have you ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal? Share your story in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because next week, I'm sharing the 3 warning signs I missed that could have protected me and might save you from experiencing the same heartbreak. Remember, family should be your sanctuary, not your destruction. Make sure you know the difference before it's too late.